we're digging into new polling numbers from the New York Times, looking at the lead that Democratic nominee Joe Biden has been able to mount over Donald Trump, including some pretty interesting leads in 6 key battleground states, ones that were pretty instrumental to President Trump's victory 4 years ago. And for more on that, I want to bring on Yahoo Finance's Rick Newman. And Rick, obviously, some of these states are really important to President Trump. He's going to have to get these ones back when you think about Michigan or Pennsylvania. But what are we seeing right now in terms of polling when it comes to Biden v. Trump?
Yeah, these, let's call them 6 to 8 states. They're important to both candidates. These are the states that are going to determine who wins in November. So let me see if I can tick them off. North Carolina, Florida, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Arizona, and Michigan. Trump won all of those in 2016. We know he won 3 of them by less than 1 percentage point, but that's what put Trump over the top in 2016. So the latest poll by the New York Times finds that Biden is ahead by around 6 points on average in each of those swing states. So that's better than Hillary Clinton was doing at this point in 2016. Now, a lot could change, but I don't think it's surprising that Trump is in this kind of hole. I mean, if you look at what's going on with a pandemic and a recession that doesn't seem to be anywhere near over, especially now that we're talking about new restrictions in places like Texas. So Trump has a big hole to dig out of here. That's what the takeaway is for him.
Yeah, and we've seen obviously worrying numbers in terms of his approval of the handling of the pandemic. That's obviously been one thing harming him, as well as race relations. But when you look into his handling of the economy, that was at least one standout here. Voters saying that they're on average approving of the job that President Trump has been able to do there. And yet we see the data kind of not moving in the right direction. So what's your take on the approval from voters right now in the economy?
That is really the only area where Trump seems to have a distinct advantage over Biden. That has been shrinking. I looked at a Morning Consult poll on that question, who would be better to handle the economy? And the latest numbers there show that Trump is only ahead of Biden by 3 percentage points. So what the state of the economy is going to be very important as we get into September and October. And this question of whether, I mean, we know that we're still going to have a very high unemployment rate on election day. We're going to be nowhere near back to pre-virus levels in many things. The question is whether voters are going to feel like things are getting materially better, or they're going to feel like we're in a quagmire. I have no idea what the answer to that is going to be. But if Trump is losing a lot of the margins that he needs to win, I mean, Trump really has no margin for error based on the tiny victory he eked out in 2016, and he's losing that margin. So we're seeing that in older voters, for example. He won older voters in 2016. He seems to be losing them this time around. We're seeing that with women. We're seeing that with, he's even losing ground among white, not college educated men, which is the base. That is the Trump base, and he's even losing ground there. So he's got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, and I mean, when we look at it, of course, both parties debating over what the next stimulus bill might look like here when you think about sending checks back to Americans. What's your take on maybe how that might be, I guess, changed, considering the fact that we are in an election year and both parties will be looking to be the ones that are the saviors? Might that fuel the idea that we do get another pretty significant round of stimulus here?
Well, Trump, like any election politician who's trying to get reelected, he's going to favor as many giveaways as he can to people. And right now, there are some Republicans in the Senate who are resisting more giveaways, but I think that resistance is going to crumble. Republicans in the Senate know at this point that their own majority is at play here and is at risk. So the worse Trump does in November, the more perilous that is for Republican control of the Senate, just because of the coattail effect. So if Biden wins by, I don't know, 6, 8, or 10 percentage points nationwide, that creates a very strong likelihood that Democrats will win. They need 4 seats net to take the Senate. And the better Biden does, the more likely the Democrats will take the Senate. So I think the Republican senators are going to get along with some kind of new stimulus plan for sure. What they're not talking about is a massive testing plan. That is something that public health experts have been advocating all along, and we don't seem to be doing that. Biden, for what it's worth, he does advocate, he does support the idea for whatever, $75 billion, let's say, for a big testing plan that Trump shows no interest in. So that's another thing that voters will be paying attention to in the fall.
Always important to put the polling in context. As you know, Trump fans will be quick to point out how those polls were wrong in the last election, but important to see
we'll
the
talk
leads
about that another time. I can
and important to see the leads a little bit larger than what he had overcome before. Rick Newman, appreciate you bringing us that update on the election front.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.